Thank you for joining the City of Kingston's Common Council at our Laws and Rules meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 15th. My name is Andrea Schott, the Council President and organizer for our virtual meetings. Before we begin, we would like to go over a few guidelines to help us navigate the system as efficiently and respectfully as possible. We ask that members of the public and press remain muted and off camera for the length of the meeting. As the organizer, I reserve the right to mute anyone who unmutes themselves. Council members and city staff will control their own mute button. Good practice would be to mute yourself if you are not speaking to avoid background noise and feedback. If a council member or staff wishes to speak, they will raise their hands. The chairperson will call on them before they speak by stating their name clearly for our audio listeners. All of our meetings are recorded. Both video and written transcriptions will be made available to the public on the city's website. Although we will not have public speaking tonight, you can submit written comments to the City of Kingston Clerk, Elisa Tinty, at emtinty@kingston-ny.gov, or by dropping them off at the drop box located outside the side door of City Hall. We also encourage you to reach out to committee chairs or your ward's representative at any time. If you have any audio issues, send a text message to the following number, 845-594-6120. Please be aware that phone calls will not be answered during the meeting. The number to text is 845-594-6120. As the organizer for today's meeting, I reserve the right to lock and pause the meeting to eject anyone who has behaved inappropriately. At tonight's meeting, we have in attendance Chair Alderman Jeffrey Ventura Morel, Alderwoman Rita Worthington, Alderman Don Tollerman, Patrick O'Reilly, non-committee members, Alderman Tony Davis, Alderman Steve Shabbat, Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch, Alderman Doug Coop. Thank you for your patience during these difficult times, and on behalf of the Common Council, I wish you and your family good health. I now turn the floor to Chair Ventura Morel.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, July 15th at 6:34, and I'm calling this meeting to order. And on the first order of business, we have here Sonia to present on the zoning amendment proposal on Montrepose Avenue. Sonia? I see her on the corner of my screen, but I don't think she can hear me.
Sonia is muted.
Yes, and I don't
Sonia,
think,
can you hear us?
I don't think she's hearing me.
She's here.
Sonia? Should we move on to Sue Cahill and until she can figure out her audio?
Unless, can somebody write a sign and hold it up?
Yeah, I don't have her phone to text her.
Well, it looks like she unmuted herself, or it looks like her audio is good now.
I unmuted her and I sent her a request.
Okay.
I don't have her contact to. I'll see what I could do, Jeffrey. If you want to, I'll email her. If you
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we'll move on.
Andrew Wright is with her for this issue, right? Who's sitting at, who's in the screen with her, split screen?
Yes.
I'm trying to call him now.
Let's try this.
Andrew.
Mom, it's a virtual meeting.
Here we go.
There you go. There you go.
Are you able to hear us?
You probably have your computer microphone down or off because through the platform you are on. So if you could turn your volume up on your computer or laptop or iPad.
Okay, I think we should move on to Sue Cahill, so she doesn't have to sit here for the whole meeting and then we'll come back to them. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, so Sue Cahill had a request for the membership of the Heritage Area Commission. Sue, could you?
What we are looking to do is to restructure the Heritage Area Commission. Currently, the Heritage Area Commission is comprised of 11 members. The 11 members is difficult to obtain in terms of volunteer commitments. Right now, we are only at 7 members strong. And one of our members, because of private reasons, has not been attending meetings for well over 3/4 of a year now, which leaves us with 6 members only, and that is the absolute minimum I need for a majority to conduct a meeting. So if I have 1 member absent from that, that means that the commission cannot function adequately, and the commission suffers, the applicants suffer from the process not being able to move forward. So what I've discussed with the commission, because it's so large, we don't feel that we need to have such a large commission. We believe that 7 members would be sufficient for us to conduct business, which would mean a majority of 5 persons. They would all be appointed. They would all be required to be residents of the city of Kingston. In this case, also, I'm asking that the code be amended to include 2 positions as alternates. And if we were able to obtain those 2, the alternates would act as they do with any other board or commission. They would be required to attend and participate in all meetings, free to get involved in all the discussions. Their vote would only occur in the absence of a regular member. And that does a couple of things. Obviously, it helps us obtain a quorum consistently, but it also sets the stage that if one of our regular members does decide to step down or is not reappointed, we do have people in place that are readily trained already and familiar with the commission, with their routine and what their goals and objectives are. So that's a benefit, I think, as well to the community. So the code, if you've read the communication that I sent, I'm asking for it to be changed in 2 sections. The first is the actual composition, and that actually just reduces the number from 11 to 7. And I added in the 2 alternates in that section. And then I did add in the sentence that all lay members of the commission shall be citizens and actual residents of the city of Kingston, because I think that's important. Where obviously, I think we want residents involved. And then the second section that I did was just the terms of office. The code was written with the initialization of this commission. So it's no longer, we don't have to have initial terms. They're rotating terms right now. So they would continue to be 3-year terms, all appointed by the mayor. And that I added in a line that all commission members serve without pay. Those are the 2 changes. I put them in the communication as red line for you, so you can see the differences. And then I provided the committee report without the red line. Any questions? Yes,
Alderman Scott Childress?
Yes, so I'm just curious, do you have any idea why that number of 11 was originally chosen for the commission?
I do not. It's been like that as far back as I recall the commission being established. At one time, they had members from various entities. The Maritime Museum was represented. UPAC or the Bardavon had a representative. Uptown Kingston, all the business districts had representatives on it. Wow. They are advised of our meetings anyways. If there's a matter that's of interest to them, they contact us, they reach out to us, we talk to them. They're more than welcome to attend our meetings. I don't necessarily think that they need to be actual voting members.
Can you tell me, just ballpark, how much time do you think a member of the commission has to put in on, say, a monthly basis?
on a monthly basis with the review of all the materials that we circulate around and the meeting. It's probably about maybe 9 to 10 hours.
Thank you. There's one little thing I noticed in the part about the adding the city historian.
The city historian has always been in there.
Right. It's just a copy editing.
No, I take that back. The city historian was not, but the city historian was one of those 11 member people. So we kept him in as a regular member.
I think that's a great idea. I just am pointing out, I used to be a copy editor, and I think there's an extra word in that sentence.
I
think it
agree
should-
with you. Yeah, you caught that. I know. I saw that.
Sorry.
I will make that
It's a disease I
correction.
have. All right. Thank you. I think this is a great idea, by the way.
Steve Shabbat?
Yeah, thank you. Back in Jimmy Satile's day, I was on that commission. I don't remember that many people, but it seems like we had a good crowd, but I don't remember 11, but it could be. But I think this is a great idea. 11 is just so unwieldy. It's got to be murder during the summer when people go on vacations. I mean, it must be awful trying to get a quorum together. So I think this is a very good idea, and it's time we move forward to something more practical. So I think great idea. So
Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay, so I will read the committee report that Sue sent us. So it's to amend the city charter and code as follows. Section 22-20, composition. Said commission shall consist of 7 members with 2 alternates appointed by the mayor. All lay members of the commission shall be citizens and actual residents of the city of Kingston. Section 22-21, terms of office. Amend 3/5/2019, amended 3/5/2019 by LL number 1-2019, approved on 3/19/2019. The terms of the members of the commission shall be 3 years. The mayor may appoint up to 6 non-voting advisory members as warranted, who will serve at the pleasure of the mayor. In addition, the city historian will be a no voting advisory member in perpetuity. All members of the commission shall serve without pay. Do I have a motion? Motion by Alderman Scott Childress. Do I have a second? Second by Rita Worthington. All in favor? Is Patrick O'Reilly on?
Yes, in favor.
Okay, so the motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Bye. Sonia, do you have your audio? Seems like they heard us.
You could unmute yourself by going to the bottom of your screen. There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear us now?
You can hang up now.
Can you hear us now on this one?
Yes.
Can you
Hi.
hear us on this one?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
We have like 4 students going here.
So we're going back to the first item on the agenda, which is the zoning amendment request of Montrepose Avenue. We have the architecture firm of Wright here, and Sonia Limas is here, and I'll let you present right now.
Hi. So we have Andrew Wright. He's the applicant.
Hi, Sue. Hi, everybody.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Nice to meet you.
So do you want to explain your project or?
Basically, this is a lot we've owned a long time, and it came with the school number 2 when I purchased that many years ago, and So we had also pitched the idea of apartments probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I think Satile was mayor, and it was met with, it was supportive, and then the market went down, so we let it sit. But now with a very big need for market rate and some affordable housing, we, have been watching the neighborhood and seeing what could work there. And so the proposal is for 15 apartments, a community center that the tenants can use, and then a small park at the end, which I think would be very nice in that area. We are in need of having the RT zone pulled over. It abuts us on two sides right now, over right up to Taylor Thompson's property, because we're surrounded on three sides by multifamilies. So the triple L make a lot of sense. So our request from the city is to ask for the zoning change just to have the line moved to incorporate this lot.
And
And when,
does anybody have
Go ahead.
questions? Yes, Alderman Tellerman.
I have a question about affordable component. Is there going to be an affordable component for the building?
so we currently have included, we used to have 14 units and now included 15. 2 of them are going to be 1-bedroom. And the program that we're familiar with is Section 8 housing. So with the voucher program, that's the one we wanted to implement in this project. So that it is 2 apartments out of the 15. So it's 10% would be 1.5, but
I don't know if you guys have looked at the plans. They're predominantly 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath with laundry. We currently manage some nice market rate apartments in our Wall Street building, and most of our buildings, we find that certain amenities will, with the whole market moving towards, there'll be more home employment. People will be working from home. Office space is going to take probably a bit of a back seat. So by creating a 2-bedroom setup, people can have an office and live as a couple, or a family can be in there. So yes, we are being very sensitive to the need for affordable as a percentage. And I somewhat support that, because we're trying to follow the ideology of mixing the population. But it's, good market rate. We got a waiting list of tenants for something that has it's a little bit good parking, laundry, all in one place. And we feel that this is a perfect location for it, because Ulster Academy did that, and we're right immediately adjacent. This is an interesting place, and so we think that this would be a good asset to that location.
Okay. Alderman Tellerman, and then Alderman Scott Childress.
So I congratulate you guys, because we need housing of all types. So I missed it. You mentioned parking, Andrew. Is it off-street parking? And the second question is, what's the average unit size of the 2-bedroom, square foot wise?
The parking is off street. We have also 2 charging stations. We thought that makes sense. And they are 24, 23 by 48. It's approximately
24 the apartments. Yeah.
1,200 feet each. So they're nicely sized. We're looking at the plans that put the 2 bedrooms against the street side, then the bathroom, kitchens, and then a large living room looking towards the parking side, because we also have the advantage of this lovely hill to the north, which Taylor Thompson owns a part of it. And actually, we're meeting him this weekend, because Taylor and Elizabeth are dear friends. So I promised them I would walk them through the scheme. But they have this hill, which is part of their large lot, which will always be green and flush. So I figured, as you know, when you have the sun behind you, it can be beautiful in the fall. So that's where you'd want to look out your living room, and not elsewhere. So we also have applied to NYSERDA, if we get the group, this will be geothermal and solar as well. It will not be a microgrid like we've done, but it'll be definitely net zero, which is a very big part of what we've done with most of our projects. We have a lot of experience in this, and I'm very comfortable that I can pull this off, but we need their grant. In either case, they'll be well insulated. They'll be well maintained. As most of you know, we have a few buildings in the area, mostly uptown, and we keep them, we have them in a group, and we take a lot of pride in keeping them pretty.
Rennie?
Yes, hi, Rennie Scott Childress here. We're happy to hear you're interested in building on this property. I'm curious as to the 2 affordable units you just talked about, why you would choose to go the Section 8 route or the housing vouchers route, as opposed to setting the rents in terms of a percentage of the area median income.
So currently we work mostly on private projects and not affordable housing. So we're not too familiar with affordable housing. And we contacted a non-for-profit local group, and they try to explain to us what the different levels of affordable housing that there are. And since we were already enrolled in this Section 8 program, and we are already familiar, and we couldn't find any guidance from the city on what exactly the city wants, then it was, we lean towards something we're familiar with.
Okay.
That's the reason of the program.
Great. And then on the community center, is that, I was a little unclear, is that going to be something that's open to members of the neighborhood or just to the renters of the facility? And what do you envisage being inside that community center?
So the idea is we want to integrate the community into our projects. We don't want to be an imposition, and we want to be a good neighbor. So the idea is to have it available, and the logistics have to come after we finalize design and such. But the objective is to be open to the neighborhood. And how that will take place and the rules and all that, then we will have to see as we move forward with the project. Inside the space, we were thinking about maybe a small kitchen, but and some tables and an open space for meetings, and obviously your bathrooms and ADA required bathroom.
Typically, like a shell, there would be an open room that could be used for personal events, people parties. They could also, I had this weird feeling in the back of my head that people will be looking for office space that they can use if they're living in the area. So it's also something we can offer to the tenants, that if they need a space outside of the apartment, they could have it for that use. It's going to be, what shape it takes is really what's in the demand. But by having an open space there that we manage to make sure that it's secured and that it's cleaned, then we can see what the demand. I mean, there's many community services. Michelle, I don't know if she's still in it.
Yes.
There's sometimes things needed for that district, a meeting for whatever. It could be a senior event. It could be many different things. We find that a lot of the bigger developments are doing that, and this is a smaller scale of it. But it's it's something we're sort of feeling out, because the needs, there's the generic needs and then the needs of Kingston in this district. So we just have an open space that's available that can be used for any number of things.
Great, I appreciate it. I think it's an innovative idea, and I like the project as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Davis, then Michelle, Alderman Hirsch, and then I think I saw Patrick O'Reilly's hand up.
Alderman Tony Davis here. Did I hear you say that you were part of this project would be creating a park?
There is a small park. If you see the plan, I don't know if you have the plans, it has a tail.
It is on the
And
exhibit D.
It's a section that is small but big enough to put
Well, we have. It's.
I'm not sure if you can see.
No, I can't see it. I didn't have privy to that.
Okay.
All right. Basically, what it's doing is there is a very small part which goes down the hill towards Pierpont and all that, and it's an area where we couldn't get parking. It has an interesting.
Well, we could, but we decided to give it to the park.
It's more efficient because we're putting a sidewalk in. There's no sidewalk there now, so we're going to put that in and have a small place where you can sit, some benches, a seating area, and very simple. And that it would be available for
the public.
Yeah, you walk your dog there. You want to be part of the public because right down in that area, no one really has anything in that area. You go down.
Yeah, I believe I know. I grew up in that area part, so it's that little and parking space there, right there at the corner, West Pierpont, before it goes up to what is that, Montrepose? Right there in the corner.
Yeah.
All right. So would it be
So it's not the corner. So it's not the corner where the poles are.
The fire
It's
pole.
it's down the hill.
You know when you turn to go down, what is that, O'Reilly or no? What?
No. Like
What's the one that goes steeply down towards the?
Ravine?
Yeah.
Or,
Very
yeah,
Right.
Ravine.
It's all overgrown right now. You can't really see much because it's completely overgrown.
Okay.
It'll be clean, pushed back, and then if there's enough of an area to put a nice seating area, how big would you say that is? Probably
was
50 feet by 100 and change long. So
was it 22,000 square
triangle.
feet?
yeah.
It was about 2,000.
But we set up a small seating area and then some lawn and trees around it. It's kind of a shade area, but you can definitely have a small gathering, or kids can, hang out there. It can be where the teenagers
So it wouldn't be
hang out.
anything. It wouldn't be anything with swings or anything like that. It'd be just like a sitting
No.
area. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
More
Yes.
repose.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so the order of the speakers is going to be Michelle, then Patrick, then Steve, and then Don Tellerman. All right, go ahead, Michelle.
Good evening. This is Alderwoman Hirsch. Hello to the rights. So I just wanted to say hello. Tony asked the question. I was going to ask for information more about the park, but which you answered already. But I just wanted to say hello anyway.
Okay.
It's nice to see you.
You too.
Thank you. Okay, so Patrick O'Reilly. You're on mute, Patrick.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Patrick O'Reilly. I'm very excited about your project. I think it's wonderful. I was just wondering, how many stories tall is the building? Will the top floor have a view out over the valley?
The buildings are predominantly 2 stories because we have the lower floor available for ADA compliant, and then the upstairs is the only one floor up. The only part that's 3 stories is where the community center is tucked under because of the slope of the site. I don't think you have a very good view because you can almost be on the roof level if you're standing way up almost by West Chestnut and Monteprose. So, we're not,
down the hill.
there's some very tall trees in the residences right across the street of Pierpont. So you can see out a bit, but we had to figure flat roofs specifically for solar panels because we've done this before where you can lay the panels low so you don't see them. There's a way to lay them on the roof with ballast so that they can get a great harvest, but you're not going to be driving by because we're trying to maintain the historic quality of the area and the wall on the street, which is how most of the buildings are of this kind. So why were you thinking of going up there and taking a view? Or is that...
No, I know there's some great views from that hill. My father's actually grew up in one of the houses that are probably abutting your property there when he was a child. but I know that that slope can have some really nice views of the Rondout. Beautiful there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our
Thank you.
pleasure.
Steve Shabbat?
Hey, thanks, Jeffrey. First of all, I just want to say thanks. It looks like a good idea. But thank you, whatever happens, thank you for bringing this idea forward. I live a couple blocks from there. I'd like to say I jog past there, but I'm usually sucking wind by the top of the hill. So I'm usually walking by that point, and I don't want to hurt your feelings at all, but that is really not an attractive lot right there. Just the fact that something's going to go in there that's more attractive than what's there is going to be a big plus. It's just an open lot, with a lot of gravel and stones, and I would love to see something going in there like this. I think it's a pretty cool idea. There's certainly we have a need for market rate apartments, and there's going to be more. Especially my generation, we're talking about it all the time. Downsizing and moving into something kind of like this. This is the kind of thing we envision when we talk about it. So, it's exciting. I can't wait to see what happens as we move forward with this. Welcome to the neighborhood, and hopefully everything will go well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shabbat.
Don Tallerman and then Rita Worthington.
Hey guys, Andrew, Sonia, I know the purpose of this conversation is really about the code, the zoning code, and it was triple R, and you're changing it to RT, which is Rondout District. Can you explain that? First of all, you're saying it's conforming to the rest of the neighborhood. So why was this triple R in the first place?
That is a question that has come up many times over the 15 or plus years that I've owned this, and people scratch their head because the only triple R is Taylor Thompson's house. So he was sort of a spot zoning, but he's next to it because most of the district is not. Now, the Ulster Academy was also triple R, and that changed for the condos. I had difficulty with that when I owned the building, but it was many years ago, and I decided to let Bill Stuckey run with it and Scott Dutton. But this is kind of it could have been left over from a very previous setup of an overlay district for that area. It had been triple R for a long time. This lot was used by the school board, Kingston School Board, to just park trucks on. That's why only a partial corner of it was cleared. It used to be just loaded with trucks and the equipment they used when they had their warehouse in the old building number 2. But I think it was just left over from a different era. I don't know why, because, if triple R is single family with, I think, a 20,000 foot minimal size lot. It was 12,000. I mean, it's something that, was very large and more suburban. So it was kind of odd to be in such a area like the OT.
So I just want to use this. That's a great example of how badly our zoning needs to be redone, our code, and that's something that that the council has looked at recently. And so, I think it's a good idea and something we should keep looking at, and really help it make it easier for developers to build in the future. That our zoning code makes sense and that it's clear and easy to understand.
As an example, there's a 4-family right above us, which is in the triple R. 5-family, I'm sorry. And it's been made into a 5-family. It's been that way for decades.
No, that zone allows for multifamily, the uphill one.
So that's a different.
Yeah, so there are different zones around.
The owner's a weird fellow, but Max.
So we have a lot of multifamily around a lot.
But I agree with you, Don, that, there is sometimes, I work in many, many cities all over the country, and zoning is most of my work, getting approvals, figuring things out, even in Manhattan. And a lot of times a zone was made for a very good reason at that time. And, but then time changes, and it's very difficult for a city to keep, moving with the times, but that's why you're here. Susan especially.
She's gone.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to Patrick.
Hi, Sonia and Andrew, Rita Worthington here. So I'm looking at the pictures of the building. It looks absolutely beautiful. But I was wondering, you said that, well, we all know that there's a lot of applicants and we need the housing here in the city. Do you have a handle on where those applicants would be or who you would put in those buildings? Would it be a lot of applicants from the city of Kingston, or are we talking about just surrounding communities?
We currently own and manage about 30 apartments in Kingston and Port Ewan. And they come from all over. We just had 2 young fellows who came in for a 6-month rental on our 1 bedrooms for training for the DEC as police officers. They're coming down with it. Now they're moving on. We have
People from California.
We tend to have people who, we get a lot of calls, and it's typically like this. Andrew, have you got a 1 bedroom? My friend will be here next weekend and needs a place. And why are they here? Well, they moved from the city, which is a huge exodus. They moved from wherever. Their life changed. And so we get a call about every week for someone more than that looking, and we also have a web. So they are the older professional couples, like Mr. Shah was saying, are couples that had a house, the kids are raised. They don't want to deal with the lawn anymore, but they want a nice space. They want to have a second bedroom for someone to visit. So that is most of our uptown tenants. And then we have in our 1 bedrooms, we have single professionals in their 30s or so. We have a little of everything, and they come from everywhere. I mean, they're predominantly Kingston relocating. And sometimes they have kids. So we do a little of everything. Anyway, so it's not specific. We don't have a specific market. They answer we have a website for Right Management Group that shows all of our properties, and Craigslist is a very popular way to find apartments. That's where a lot of the requests come in. And word of mouth.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Patrick was next, and then Tony Davis.
Let's refer to Tony and then come back to me, please.
Tony Davis.
Tony Davis here. And following up with Rita's question, is it possible that in these housing that is, designated, especially the Section 8, if you're going to go that way, or the minimum income and level in the city of Kingston or in Ulster County, those apartments could be tailored for residents of the city of Kingston? That would be great. Those two apartments especially. You can't say about the other ones, but those 2 Section 8 or low income, if they could be designated for residents in the city of Kingston, that would be great. That's why I wanted this.
Well, we work with Rubco as well. We talk to them, and they're in touch with us. We have many friends there, so we do, and they tell us about what's available, and we do have some tenants. So yes, that could be a possibility.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick, you ready?
Yes, Patrick O'Reilly. My question for you is, obviously you've dealt with a lot of cities and how they operate and how difficult it is to get through this process to put up a building. Housing is a difficult business, and I admire you. How difficult or easy is it to get through our process here at the city? Because it's important for us to know that as aldermen, so that we can maybe change some things to make it a simpler process or a more smooth process. Could you just talk about that for a moment, please?
Not a problem. I've been in Kingston since the early 90s. And in the beginning, the process was difficult because I didn't know anybody here. I didn't really understand the city. I was new, and I lived in Stone. But since the early 2000s, we have purchased and developed and worked with the city and found the process is learning who to talk to and what is your approval process. Like for the zoning change, we had to learn to go to the clerk's office. And it was all online, so it was actually not too difficult compared to like in New York City where you got to go through so many departments, they don't even know who's who, and it could be 6 to 8 months to just get someone to recognize you. But no, so far, you've been taking some steps in the last 5 to 10 years that are trying to be easier for developers. And I've also sat on many boards, by the way. I've been involved with the city for different reasons and with different boards of companies here in town, and sat with Sue Cahill many times for hours and talk about projects. And it's been fairly, directive. I can find that they'll help us get through. We also reach out to the alderman of that district because we like to find the alderwoman. Sorry, we like to find out what is needed. We don't like swimming upstream, and nobody does. You try and find out, as opposed to coming in with something which may not be a necessity. Find out what's going on, and that's where the community center idea came in. Is because there was no place in that area to meet. I have my kids went to Kingston Catholic. They had many friends in the neighborhood. And so I learned a little bit about the area from the Noah Hotel days with Charles Blakeman and what happened there to all the little developments that have been going on. I know Mike Diaz. I know all these people. So in a long-winded answer, so far we did our homework and it was easy to get the information we needed from the city because we went and talked to people, returned the phone calls, and the process. Well, this is my first zoning change, and so in Kingston, and it was very clear on the website what to do. But we're versed in this. But for another developer to come in, it's I'm sure if they have knowledge of development and municipalities, they can navigate it. And you're doing pretty good. I was able to figure it out pretty quickly as to what I had to do. I mean, what are some of the thoughts that you have?
No, I know over the past 3 years or so since I've been on board here, we've been trying to clean up the process, make it faster, make it easier, and make it more accessible.
So I have to tell you that the website, and I spoke with Inspector Kitchen, and he's the one who referred me or where to go on the website, download the form, and that's how I found the due process of how things move or how the applications get into the system, and then how they split into different committees and boards, and then how the process moves forward. So the website, the City of Kingston website has been very helpful.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Hey, did everybody see the communication we got from the Ulster County Planning Board? The two things they brought up were one that you already addressed was in your original proposal, there was no affordable housing, but now you've included the two that they suggested. And the next step they suggested was to refer this to formally refer this to the planning board to go through the seeker process, the state environmental, I forgot what that stands for, state environmental review process, and quality. Thank you, quality review, and that has to apparently happen before we can rezone. But Dan Gartenstein might have something to add. Go ahead, Dan.
This hasn't been referred to anybody yet. The Ulster County Planning Board was provided with the application as a courtesy. They answered it before formally receiving the referral. So the only thing this committee is supposed to be doing this evening is sending a resolution to the council to formally refer the rezoning petition the county planning to city planning and to the Historic Landmark Preservation Commission. But the letter that you're referring to, from county planning, they just sent it in advance as a courtesy, and it does raise some issues with regard to the actual site plan review and secret review, and what percentage of a vote this board is going to have to give in order to pass the petition. All of that should take place at next month's meeting after the referrals have been made and the various commissions and committees have all had an opportunity to chime in.
Okay, and you said it was city planning, county planning, HLPC. What was the other one?
The planning board,
Planning board.
the city of Kingston.
Yeah.
I think they sent it to LPC. Oh, there it is.
I'm sorry, the city planning board, the county planning board, and the Historic Landmark Preservation Commission. All three of those entities already have the document. They were provided the document at the time of the filing of the petition, but the formal referral has to come from the council.
Okay, thank you. So if there are no further questions, I will read the committee report. Okay, so committee report to formally refer the zoning amendment request on Montrepose Avenue to the City Planning Board, County Planning Board, and Historic Landmarks Preservation Commission. Do I have a motion? Renee Scott Childress. Do I have a second? Riley? All in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimously. So we'll see you next month, I guess. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Okay, the next item on the agenda we have is a request from the mayor's office to authorize him to execute an easement with Ulster County regarding the Midtown Linear Park project. On the question. No questions? Renee Scott Childress?
Not a question. Just I think it sounds like a great idea. I'm glad to see that they're moving forward with this. We're excited that this kind of amenity can be present in Kingston, and I'd say let's get it going.
Yep, I agree with you. Okay, so the committee report I have is resolution to authorize the mayor to execute an easement with Ulster County regarding the Midtown Linear Park project. Is there a motion? Motion by Patrick O'Reilly. Is there a second? Rita Worthington. All in favor? Okay. So nobody opposed. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. And the next item we have, I believe I saw Julie Noble on the call, is the adoption of the Kingston Open Space Plan. Hi, Julie.
Hi, how is everybody?
Okay. Yeah, so do you want to speak, or do you want to take questions? Or
I just want to thank you for the time to speak. I don't have much to say, just that I've been shepherding this open space plan through. I appreciate everyone's support with the seeker review. And as we know, it was adopted through that process, or it was passed through that process. So this next logical step is to adopt the open space plan itself. And my request is to adopt it as an addendum to the comprehensive plan.
Okay. Renee Scott Childress.
Hi, Julie. Thanks for taking us through this tonight. My question has to do with if we pass the resolution tonight and then it's adopted, as you suggest, at the Common Council, what happens after that?
My understanding, and Jan can chime in here as well, is my understanding is that there actually needs to be a public hearing in between those actions. And then once that is complete, then it would be an addendum to the comprehensive plan. I'm not really sure what the logistics of that are. But my understanding is that it is then given the same weight as the rest of the comprehensive plan, and it is then incorporated fully into it.
Great. So that's the end of the process. It doesn't have to go to the county planning board or to the DEP or anything like that. This would be actually putting it into our city future.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And my basis for the draft resolution that I provided is based on the town of Rochester. The towns of Rochester and Warsing, which are also in Ulster County, have recently gone through the same process. So the verbiage in my draft resolution is based on their similar process.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Hearing no one else on the question, I will read the resolution, the committee report. To adopt. Resolution to adopt Kingston Open Space Plan as an addendum to the City of Kingston Comprehensive Plan. Childress, do I have a second? Worthington. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And the last of the new business is we have a communication from Judge Larry Ball requesting for the city has on its charter, I believe, hold on, let me refresh my mind. Yes, the city has on its charter a law that establishes the City of Kingston Court, but he points out that that law is unnecessary because it's superseded by the state law establishing a city court system. So he is requesting that when, Dan Garnstein has something to say?
It's not part of the charter. It's an addendum to the code. So the amendment process or the repealing process is not the same as if you were amending the charter. It's actually a separate section of the city code, so it can just be amended by local law.
Okay, I was confused by his communication because he was requesting here. It seemed to me that we address it when we do the charter change, but.
No, actually, what he was saying was that it has come to his attention that you're looking at revising the charter, and as long as you are looking at revising the charter, this issue has been pending for quite a while, and he's asking that you revisit it.
Okay. All right, so what he's asking is basically for us to repeal that section of the code, and that by doing that, it would eliminate the court-martial position. So we would have to adopt a separate resolution to create that position again. Rennie Scott Childress?
So can we do those things tonight? Or do we have to present those as a communication and then take this up again next month?
That would be a question for Dan Gartenstein.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering if we can, suspend the rules. And because, I mean, if this is already covered.
Well, for clarification, the judge did not request, and I don't believe anybody has requested, that you create the city marshal position independently of the City Court Act. The request is to repeal the City Court Act in total, including the section with regard to the city marshal. Whether or not we believe or the council believes that the city marshal position, should be, created in some other section of the code is a completely separate discussion, and it's far more complicated. The repeal of the City Court Act is fairly simple. It has been superseded, by state law. It was superseded quite a long time ago. The provisions of the City Court Act are not only inconsistent with state law, but in many respects, they're impossible to comply with.
Right. Dan, I'm sorry. I'm asking, can we do that tonight? Because this hasn't been sent in as a communication to repeal it that way. So I'm just wondering, whether we would suspend the rules tonight and introduce the motion, or do we need to send in a communication to do this next month? I mean, it sounds like there's no real hurry, but there's also no real reason to wait.
Well, there's no hurry. Obviously, it's been pending at this point for about 10 years. You don't need a separate communication asking to repeal it. You can certainly treat Judge Hall's letter as a communication, and you can adopt a resolution repealing the City Court Act in response to his letter. You don't need to suspend the rules, but there needs to be a first reading and a second reading.
In that case, I would like to make a motion that we strike this entire code from the city code, this entire section about Kingston City Court from the city code.
Okay, that is a motion to repeal the City Court Act. Is there a second?
Yeah, if you can just clarify that, you're not striking it, you're repealing it.
Right.
Thank you. Repeal rather than strike.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't do it. So, yeah.
Okay, second by Rita Worthington. All in favor?
Jeffrey, sorry, who was the motion? Or is it Rennie?
Motion was Rennie. Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, and second by Rita Worthington. All in favor? Okay. Nobody opposed. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. That concludes the new business. On old business, we have the Charter Commission. I don't think we have any updates on that yet. Is that correct?
Assuming that's me.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, the next step, if this is what the committee wants to do, is to determine how to move forward. So NICOM listed the 3 ways that it would be. If you just to refresh the memories, it would be to have the mayor start the Charter Commission, or the council with the mayor starting it, or the public starting it. And then within that, it would also be determined if this is something the council wants to do. So, I mean, that I guess is probably something that you need to think about and kind of debate. But that would be the first step. And then if it is the council that determines the Charter Commission, how that language would look would be in the law that you create.
Don Tellerman?
This is Don Tellerman. So I know that there's been talk about changing the charter, and I know we actually had a presentation to the council about how that works, but is there someone on the council that's proposing change right now? Has someone put anything forward to say, let's change this or that? Or
Rennie Scott Childress?
Following up on that, my understanding is, aren't we supposed to have a charter review at the very least, something like every 10 years or so? And it's been 20 plus years since we've had any look. And so, Don, to speak to your question, I think one of the issues, it's not necessarily that you create a charter commission to make an active change. Part of it is to review. So like we just saw, we have this whole section of the code that is moot, right? So there are some older parts, that have lived on that may not have any great need. there are some questions too, and as we've seen in some of our recent discussions, there's some questions about the balance of power here between the legislative and the executive branch. Those are some questions we should definitely at least investigate, and that would be up to the Charter Review Commission. That's why I think any development, any creation of this commission should be a co-production of the executive and the legislative, so that we can ensure that there's balance there and that all interests are weighed equally.
Rennie, I did read the charter. I didn't see any requirement that it be reviewed. So if you could find that and show me that, because I didn't see it.
It's not required. It's a recommendation, and I don't remember where it comes from. I'm sorry.
Andrea Schott, President Schott.
Yeah, I'm just going to recommend that. I mean, this should be really a collaborative effort between the council and the mayor. So I'm recommending that we invite the mayor to next month's Laws and Rules meeting, so that we could really talk about this, but at least know that this would be the next step, if any.
Correct. And just to refresh everybody's mind, I believe it was at either the February or April. March was canceled, so it was either the February or April Laws and Rules Committee meeting. The mayor indicated that he would be in favor of revising the charter. He pointed out the establishment of several city departments that was confusing. Alderwoman Hirsch.
Hi, this is Alderwoman Hirsch. Thank you. I'm just curious what the commission would be made up of. How many people were they being pulled from?
I believe that would be something that we, along with the mayor, get to decide if we decide to go that route. President Schott?
That's correct. Yeah, it would be in the law that we would, say that we're starting this commission. There's no guidance on how many members, so we would talk about it. That's why it's not something that we could rush into. And I really think that this needs to be a joint effort between the branches. Even if this is a council decision, we should be collaborating. So all of that we will determine that. And then we could even determine, we will have one lawyer on the commission, or we will have, everybody lives in the city of Kingston. Maybe that's something that is relevant to us. But it should be, as detailed, or can be as detailed as we want. But that would be all step. Is that clear?
Yes. Can I ask another question, please?
Sure.
So my just timeline wise, and best use the resources of the council right now, I'm just concerned, at this point, if we can't even figure out how we're going to convene a commission, we obviously aren't going to get anything, a referendum by November, for the ballot. So in light of many issues going on right now, and even the mayor saying this back in February, that he was open to looking at the charter. It was also before COVID. And so I'm just concerned that this might not be the best use of all of our time and resources right now. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Rennie Scott Childress?
I hear your concern, but I believe that we wouldn't have to be aiming for this coming November, right? It's a much longer process than that. And so the other thing, you think there are some real questions about the balance between the executive and the legislative. So, for example, when it comes to appointing people to different commissions, right now, virtually all of that power rests with the mayor. And, fortunately, I think at the moment we've got a mayor who's made some good decisions along these lines. But, you can't always tell. So it's nice, I think it's more effective for government if there's more balance than what we have right now in our current charter. But that would be something for the Charter Commission to review. So whether we start it right now or down the road, I think for me, those are some concerns to really look at closely, that balance of power.
Alderwoman Hirsch.
Yes, is it possible just to have like laws and rules and each, all the aldermen kind of make some suggestions and the mayor makes suggestions even before convening a whole commission? Like, so that we have some direction for them to go in?
Well, that would be why we'd invite the mayor to one of our meetings, so we can discuss all of that. Okay. And then we can jointly decide how to move forward or not to move forward. It's just a conversation that we're starting.
Okay, I feel like we sort of should have some really concrete areas identified. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, my understanding is that rather than addressing specific areas, we would want to do it in a comprehensive way and go through the charter line by line and make sure that the things that shouldn't be there, the things that are no longer relevant are changed, and then all the rest. Anyone else on the question? All right, so moving on to the next item on the agenda. I don't think Alderman Tullerman had any updates on this, the mobile food truck legislation?
Correct.
Okay, so we are postponing discussion on that. And is that the case with the vacancy tax also?
Correct.
Okay, anybody else has anything to add before we, yes, Patrick O'Reilly?
Hi, I'd like to move to executive session to discuss personnel issues.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second by Dan.
I don't, what would be the issue?
On the question, Rennie Scott Childress.
No, I'm just,
oh.
I don't know what do we have a specific personnel? There's no personnel issue that's on the agenda. So I'm not clear what we'd be talking about.
Patrick?
I'm requesting an executive session to go into executive session to discuss personnel issues which should not be discussed because they are personnel issues in public.
Well, it was my understanding that we would, that there was some paperwork that needed to be made available to the rest of the council before we could discuss this issue. I don't believe everybody else has it, so I'm not in favor of going into executive session now without everybody having all the necessary information first.
My other question would be, is this the committee that would go into executive session or the members of the entire council? Because if it's the members of the entire council, I was under the impression that we would have to have a 3-day notice that we would meet, talk about a personnel, something in executive session. I could be wrong on that. I'm happy to be corrected.
Okay. Any of the lawyers want to answer that? No?
You want to take this?
So Jeffrey, if there's
Can you guys hear me?
I'm sorry, Rita?
Never mind, go ahead.
If there's a motion made and there's a second, there needs to be a vote on it. The fact that the full council happens to be present is not determinative. It doesn't preclude you guys from going into executive session. If it's to address a personnel issue, that's all that needs to be stated. And it's about, at this point, making a motion, the second which has been made, and taking a vote. That's all that's needed.
So I will call for the vote.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Rita.
All right, so Is it just the Committee on Laws and Rules that is voting on this, or is it the full council that's present tonight
This is the Laws and Rules Committee meeting.
that will be voting on whether we should go into executive session or not?
Correct.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Patrick O'Reilly, second by Don Tollerman. All in favor? Okay, Patrick O'Reilly, Don Tollerman in favor. All opposed? Motion doesn't carry.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. Anyone else has anything to add before I call for a motion to adjourn? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn? Childress, do I have a second? All in favor?
Good night, everybody.